Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Snack Time. My name is Ben, and in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at a cool little project called DockMon. Let's go ahead and jump on into it, shall we? DockMon is basically a way for you to monitor the status of all your different containers and your Docker hosts, pretty much everything, from uptime to updates. So definitely a very cool project and active development. It seems to change every single time I attempt to do one of these videos. So if something it looks a little different by the time you're watching this, then it's probably because he's released a new version or made a completely different improvement to the product. So definitely appreciate everything that this developer has done to improve this. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a crash course in this software. I'm going to try to cover as much as I possibly can, but if miss something, definitely check out their documentation. He has a lot of documents, describes everything about it. So possibly I might miss something, so it should be in there. But I'm going to try to give you a really high level overview. Then we're going to go ahead and jump into the installation. That installation will obviously require Docker. We're going to be using Portainer and Nginx Proxy Manager. If you don't already have a server set up, feel free to use the link that I will be showing up here at the top of the right of the corner of the screen. That will walk you through getting a virtual private server spun up for all of your self-hosting needs. And it'll also walk you through installation of Proxy Manager and the Portainer. All right, so jumping into this screen, we do have a couple of options here. We are looking at the CPU, memory, and network usage of this particular Docker host machine that we have the software running on. You are not limited to just one host. You can come in here to hosts and add additional. There's documentation about that on the GitHub page. There are some steps that you'll want to perform to make sure that any connection that you make to any of your other Docker servers is secured and encrypted. So that won't prevent us from monitoring all the containers that are on this particular host, which is really what I'm going to concentrate on this video. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into containers. And if we click on our containers, we have a couple of options here. It's just going to show all the containers currently running on this host. We do have the ability to start, stop, and restart them at will. That is all controlled over here. So we have our start container, also have our stop button, restart, and view logs. View logs can be really helpful. It's going to show you any of the logs, anything that it's detecting and picking up from these containers. We do have a couple other options here. We can click into this DockMon, and this will show us all of the usage being performed and being consumed by this particular container alone. So how much memory is it using? How much CPU? These are giving you your live stats. We can also change the auto restart policy. So do we want this to start up every single time that our host machine is running? Totally up to you. This is also an option that we use quite frequently with Portainer. So with Portainer, we have the always on, which means this should always start no matter what. And then we have ones that says unless stopped and then turned off. This one gives you one option, and that's automatically restarted if it has been stopped unexpectedly. You do have a couple of extra options here too, such as desired state. That should run on demand and unspecified. Unspecified means we're not going to be doing anything. On demand means that we would normally run this, but it's typically run manually. And then should run means that it should pretty much always be running and kind of keep this one up and going. There's a lot of more documentation about this specific desired state on the GitHub too. Definitely encourage you to read up. Beyond that, we do have the ability to add tags. Tags are very helpful, especially if we're trying to sort through some of our group our different containers. So let's call this one, we'll just do management. We'll save this guy. I'll show you him a little bit later on. We do also have web URL or web UI, and this is very helpful, I believe, when it comes to monitoring for uptime, as well as giving you a quick and easy way to access this. So in my installation video, I decided to do https dockmon.synhow.com, and we'll just make it that one right there. So now if we ever want to get to it, here's an easy, quick way. We know exactly what the URL is. It's right in here in our container. So very helpful there. We have some of our environment variables at the bottom here, a little bit about our volumes, any sort of ports that are open, all helpful information. So logs we've seen before. Events are things that we're going to be picking up if the machine crashes or the container crashes. So if it has to restart unexpectedly, anything crazy will show up in here. Alerts, that's where we're going to define and create, or at least this is where we're going to see the alerts that have triggered for this particular container, and we're going to be covering that in just a second. I'm going to show you how to set up alerts and how to customize them. Very powerful tool. Then we have updates. This one is saying, hey, this container is currently up to date, and you can check for new updates if you want to. So we're going to go ahead and hit check for updates. Looks like we are good. We are up to date still, but if we weren't, it should notify us. So there's a couple of options down here. We can pick our registry, where we're going to be pulling our updates from. Change log, here's a quick and easy way to find those. And if you click that, it'll pop that open. And it looks like you can also edit those too if you added, extra releases, extra changelog data. If we scroll down just a little bit, we have our tracking mode, and this is very important too. Respect the tag basically means, when you have a container and it says Bob's container : latest. Well, that tag latest is saying retrieve the latest version, but you can't always do that. So there are some containers that can't run like the latest version. They have to have a specific version that they run, maybe a specific database version. And if you go updating them to the latest version, that's when things start to break. So this will respect that tag no matter what it says. So like if it says : 1.1, it's always going to look for that 1.1. And even if there's 1.2 available or 2, it's not going to encourage you to update. And then we have a couple of options here, patch updates, minor updates, and then always latest. We do always latest, and that will make it sure that we are always pulling the latest version. All right, next up we have our health check. Right now, health check's not enabled, but we can enable it, and this will help us determine, hey, is this container healthy or not? And we can take this data that we're seeing here and create alerts based off of that health. So good to know right there. It's kind of, I'm not going to say it's an uptime monitor, but it's pretty darn close, if not totally an uptime monitor. I don't know. I don't really see the difference. So let's close out of that. There's a lot of options under there. This software is very extensive, a lot of things for you to do. So we're going to be trying to cover it pretty quickly. But if there's something I missed, please comment down below. Let's see. Let's go scrolling down. We have container log. So if you want to see a log from all your different containers, cool, you can. We have events here. So, what has happened. Looks like this container was restarted. This one was started. This one died horribly. So all that's good information there. Next up, we have our alerts. These are things that you define. These were the ones that you set up different monitors for your containers or hosts. Let's check that out real quick. Let's hit manage rules and let's create a rule. We don't have any created. And let's do one that's just like the example. Let's say high CPU alert. You can describe it a little bit more in detail if you want to. We can do container or host. I'm going to do container for now. And we can pick our rule types. So if we zoom in a little bit here, we have some good options. We have high CPU memory, container health check failed, and that is the health check that we pretty much defined on the container's settings, I believe. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. And the container health check, I believe what that is if like you remember, like if we're creating a container and it has some health check information inside of the compose file, I believe that is what that is looking for. Again, correct me if I'm way off base. Container stopped, started, died, or restarted, updates available, updates completed or failed. So all good things to keep an eye out for. Let's do CPU. And let's make this a critical warning. We can now apply this alert to specific tags. Remember, I created that management one. We can go ahead and select that, and any container with the management flag is going to have this this alert applied to it. We can scroll down a little bit and we can define now the threshold. What is high CPU usage to you? Is it 90%? Is it 80%? So something good to know. A clear threshold, the value to auto resolve the alert. I'm not going to mess with that too much, but you can say, hey, at what point in time does that, I believe, become a non-issue? Like if it falls below 70 or below 80 or below 30, is that now something to clear that alert? So that's kind of cool. And then we have our clear duration in seconds. Time window for transient issues. If the condition clears within this period, the alert will auto resolve. So maybe I'm okay with spikes for like maybe 5 seconds. Anything longer than that is not something I want to investigate. And now we have our place where we can choose which container modes we're going to be looking at. Right now I'm going to do all containers, but that should run only and on demand. You may recognize that from the container. Right now we have a select containers. We have 7 containers that this applies to, since we are selecting all of them. Let's see here. If you wanted to be specific about which containers you are monitoring, maybe we didn't want to monitor these guys, you can just uncheck them from that drop down. And we have our timing configuration, 300-second duration, 300-second cooldown. That's fine. If we scroll down a little bit more, we have our auto resolve behavior. So automatically resolve this alert notification. Do you want it to auto resolve? If you do, then checking that says use this only if you want to be notified without keeping the alerts in the alert list. Now, I don't think that I'm ever going to check that, but I guess it's a possibility. All right, suppress alerts during the container updates. So maybe during an update, the high CPU doesn't matter so much. And if that's the case, you would just simply keep that checked. And last couple of options we have are the notification channels. I'm going to show you that in just a second. That's basically how you're going to be notified. And we have a custom templates for this. If we did want to create special messages using different short tags or short codes, we can do that. I'm not going to do that for now, but you can. All right, and let's see, enable this rule. Let's go ahead and create. And it's going to give us an alert that says, hey, you haven't established any sort of notification, so I'm not gonna be able to really notify you of this. That's okay, we're gonna create anyway. All right, so we have this created right now, but we don't have a way of being notified. That's where I'm going to show you some of these settings. So if we jump into settings, let's skip over some of these for now, and let's go straight to the notifications. We go to add channel. We have a couple of different ways to be notified. So let's zoom in a little bit. We have Telegram, Discord, Slack, Pushover, Gotify, SMTP, Gmail. So if you wanted to create an email account that just sent you notifications, you could do that here. Very easy to do. Let's just go ahead and just do gmail.com. And I'm going to say bob@gmail.com, bob. And the from email should be, let's say, bob@gmail.com. That could be something different if you wanted to do. And the to email address, I'm going to send that to ben@snacktime.com. After we create this channel, obviously we have to give it a name. Let's say email alert and Gmail. Cool. All right, so now we have this configured. Now we can associate it with that alert. So if we go back to our alerts, manage rules, and click on this guy. We scroll down. We can go ahead and now check the notification channels, and that one would be for the email. You can have multiple ones there if you want to. And so now that one is up and running. Obviously, it's probably not going to work since the Gmail account is not valid, but if it were, it should. We can also, I'm going to go ahead and turn off this alert so it doesn't fire and make Gmail think I'm trying to brute force my way in. And we're going to skip to now the settings. Let's see here. We have basically the show KPI bar. That's fine. Oh, show stats widgets. Let's go ahead and enable that. That's kind of cool. Everything else is enabled. That's totally fine. But if you wanted to, you could adjust that if you wanted to save a little bit of CPU usage. So we have alerts. This is very helpful and an extremely important part of the software. Say you are doing maintenance between this time and this time, like maybe every Saturday. So you can create windows like maintenance windows where these alerts won't trigger and the notifications won't bug you to death. So if we go to add window, we could just say, you know what, a weekend maintenance. And that maintenance starts at 10 p.m. and ends at 11 p.m. And maybe it's every Saturday. So there we go. We have our maintenance window established, and obviously you can turn it off or on, activate it or deactivate it. Another really cool feature is the message alert templates. So say you wanted to be notified, but you wanted the alerts to come through in a specific way. Well, that's why they gave you the option to create those however you want. Type whatever value you want in here, and add all these different types of short codes to the event. Very cool. We can just simply click on this and paste, and that gives us a way to customize the default fallback for all rules. We can also change the ones that are metric alerts. So here we go. That's the one for our high CPU or memory, our state, health, and container updates. All very important things to have to customize. Notifications we've already touched on. Container updates. So we know we can specify when to check for these updates. We can configure safety rules for container updates. And what this does is, let's say here, skip Docker compose containers. So this will automatically skip those containers that we've set up in like a stack form under Portainer, or ones that we've deployed with Docker compose. Another really cool feature is it will identify ones that are databases, ones that are proxies, monitors. So I love this one because there's a lot of times where you need to run a specific version of a database server, like a Postgres server, and updating that would cause problems. So this will give you the option to skip that. We can't check that right now because there are no patterns that match. So it would make sense for it to be turned on. And last, we have credentials for registries. So if you do have credentials that you've set up with like Docker Hub or whatnot, you can specify them there. And lastly, we have just a couple of things about, system performance, log retention, all the other fun stuff. Not too exciting, but good to know. All right, so that pretty much covers most everything that I wanted to talk about in this. One thing I will point out real quick, since I checked that box, so cool, I got a new a widget here. This is very neat. We can drag and drop these. You do have also a couple of options here. We can do compact, which reduces it to the host just to this little clickable option there. Or you can also click on the standard or expanded. Expanded just makes things bigger, makes it so you can do a little bit of work and see the containers that are running from within side of this particular host. All right, well, that is pretty much the crash course in this software. I'm going to hand this over to the other Ben, who's going to join you in just a few minutes and walk you through the installation. So I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Are you ready to get started with its installation? I know that I am. Let's go ahead and jump in. We are at the GitHub page. If you'd like, the link is down below in the description. It's also down at the bottom of the video if you'd like to type it in manually. Let's scroll down here a little bit. We got a cool little screenshot, nice. And we have key features. So these are the things that are in the software. Most of them, if not all, we should have covered in that quick little spiel at the beginning of this video. We also have great documentation. We have a complete user guide, quick start guide, installation, configuration, security, remote monitoring, container logs, APIs, and troubleshooting. Everything that a good open source person like yourself should need. We scroll down a little bit. Hey, you can buy the guy a coffee. And honestly, he deserves it because he's probably drinking a whole bunch of it right now to get all these features in here. He even has a roadmap of things that he has completed, both in version 1 and version 2, and things that are planned. Dude, check it out. Advanced RBAC and multi-user permissions. Very cool. Exactly what I was asking for. It's like you read my mind. So we can also view the full roadmap here if you'd like. It gives us just kind of some more information. It looks like the exact same page, but all right. So we could talk a little bit about our back end. We got our front end, updating instructions, all the fun stuff, how to contribute, yada, yada, yada. Let's jump into the installation. I know that's why you're here, not to hear me talk. I'm going to use, we have a couple options. We can use the installation here. We can also use the quick start guide. I believe the quick start guide has some of the things that we want, but it's mostly through the terminal. And we're not going to be using the terminal. We are going to be using the Docker. We're going to be using Portainer for this. So let's just grab our Docker compose file. This is what we want. I want this right here. All right, so let's go ahead and let's copy this guy right there. And let's head on over to Portainer. All right, once we're at Portainer, let's go under stacks. Let's go to add stack. We're going to type in DockMon. I love that name, DockMon, and we're going to paste that here. So he has set this up exactly the way that every, developer really should. He's addressed, and done everything that I would have changed already. So let's just quickly take a look at the compose file, explain what we're looking at, and also, pick out any cool sites to see. All right, so we're going to start off with the image. We're going to be getting the latest ones every single time. Awesome. Container name is going to be DockMon. Doesn't really matter what you put here because we're already specifying the container name at the top. Our restart policy is unless stopped. So that means that, server reboots, this thing's coming right on back up automatically unless you stopped it before the server reboot. Ports. So remember when I told you we were going to talk about the part of the video where we veer off to the local versus veering off to the internet facing? Well, this is it right here. By default, this is going to start up on a local port of 8001. However, if you're running a virtual private server, you may not want to have your traffic going out there unencrypted. That's why we're going to route it through Nginx Proxy Manager. So that's why we are going to comment this out. However, if you are running it locally, then you probably don't want to comment that out. And what you'll do is when you want to access it, you'll just go to the IP address of your local server with the port of 8001. So something to keep in mind. We are going to make it internet facing in this video just because I think it's cooler. And we're just going to go ahead and comment this out because I don't want that port just listing out right here. I just don't want it all willy-nilly out on the internet. I want it funneled through my Nginx Proxy Manager. All right. Environment. So we got our time zone specified. Lucky me, it's already set in my time zone. We have our volumes. So there, we're going to be creating a map volume, a docker mon underscore data. Awesome. We're already doing that down here. So he's already gotten that taken care of. We are checking the we're going to map the /var run docker sock to the docker sock on the container. And this is so that the DockMon can perform actions and monitor containers and have access to your host, all the good stuff. Lastly, we have our health check, and this is just simply checking to see if the website is up and running. All right, so it's going to be checking every 30 seconds, so the timeout of 10 seconds and a retry of 3. All stuff that is pretty much standard issue for a lot of health checks. It just basically making sure that the website, the web UI is up and running. So let's zoom out a little bit, and that's it. No, seriously, that is it. That's really all you have to do. Copy and paste. There's no environment variables. There's no databases to set up. Nothing. Let's just go ahead and hit deploy. And assuming we did everything right, boom, it's done. So fast, right? Well, probably faster because I already had the image loaded. But if you have to wait for the image to load, that'll just take a couple of seconds. All right, once this is loaded up, we can click onto that. We can see that it's nice and healthy. Awesome. And now we want to go ahead and set up our internet facing part of this video. So let's go back to our containers. We're going to be going under our Nginx Proxy Manager app. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom here. I'm going to move my face out of the way. And we just need to make sure that an Nginx Proxy Manager container has access to the privately created DockMon network. So right now it's just off living its best life by itself. We're going to introduce our Nginx Proxy Manager. We're going to join that. And that way this guy can pass traffic to that guy. Easy peasy. All right, now let's go and head off to our Namecheap. If you are using something like GoDaddy or your own custom DNS server, that is okay. All that we're going to be doing is creating an A record, just a subdomain that points to the IP address, the external IP address of our server. Easy peasy stuff. We're going to go ahead and hit add a new record and hit A for the A record or alias record. And we're going to give it a name. What should it be? I'm going to be very creative. DockMon. Actually, it helps if I spell it right. DockMon. There we go. And I want to use the IP address of my server, which I have right here. I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in, and I'm going to click Save All Changes. That's all we got to do for our DNS. Very easy. Now we're going to head over to our Nginx Proxy Manager, and that is where we're going to create our hosts. Let's go ahead and go into our proxy hosts. Let's add a new one. Let's put in the domain name, and the domain name is what we just created on Namecheap, which was going to be dockmon.synhow.com. Remember, A records create this little word right here in the front of the domain. If we did want to forward the entire domain over to this newly thing, maybe we created a domain called Ben's DockMon. Well, then you could just do the @ symbol, which means the domain itself would be forwarded over to that IP address. Just a little bit of trivia for you, a little bit of something to keep you up at night. All right, next up, we are being asked, well, where do we want to forward this traffic? It's a good question. Thanks for asking, Nginx. Let's go over to Portainer and let's say, well, we want to forward it to the DockMon container. And lucky for us, we can just put the container name. You could put the IP address. However, if that ever changes, you're not going to be able to get to your server and you're going to have to come in here and update it, and it's going to be sucking. So we are just going to put that in here. Make sure you don't have any spaces. If you have a space, it may be hard to see. It's going to cause you some problems. We don't have any. We are very lucky. And now we are being asked, where do we want to forward this traffic? What port? If you don't know what that is okay to find, or really simple to find rather. If we look right here, zoom in, we have our ports that we basically commented out because we didn't want traffic going straight to them. But this little line right here tells me two things. On the left-hand side, this is the port that would be internet facing, that would just be out there, for anybody to access. And this port on the right would be the port that the container itself is expecting to hear traffic coming to. So when you're looking at 8001:443, think of it almost like port forwarding, if you know what that is. It's forwarding traffic from this port to that port. So long story short, we just need the 443. That was long-winded, but hopefully you learned something. 443. Let's go ahead and block common exploit. We're going to also enable WebSocket support. We're going to hit save. Now we have this thing out here, but it's not encrypted, and I don't feel safe about that. Let's go ahead and add a cert to this. I'm going to edit this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, make it cooler. Hit SSL. We're going to drop this down. We're going to request a new one. We're going to force SSL, not an option. And we're going to go ahead and agree to the terms of service, and we're going to hit save. you did everything correctly, which I think you probably did, this should go away without an error message. But if you did get an error message, check your spelling. Sometimes it's just a typo. Sometimes the DNS hasn't had time to propagate. It also could be a port forwarding issue. It could be that you don't have port 80 and 443 open. It's a possibility. All right, so we didn't get an error, so I'm feeling very confident about that. All right, so now are you ready to jump in and try it out? I know that I am. Let's go ahead and click on this beautiful little green button right here. If we did everything right, we should have a nice little subdomain set up here at the top. It should also be secure. We can verify that by saying, hey, it is secure, and we have a valid certificate. Awesome sauce. All right, now let's go ahead and I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger so you can see. We're going to need to go ahead and sign in, and our username is going to be admin and DockMon123. Once we are signed in, it's going to put in the existing password and ask us for a new one. So we're going to go ahead and type in a new password. And here we go. Now we have it all set up for us. Didn't it look pretty? So what do you guys think? Is this something you think that you would use? I am heavily considering using it to monitor my Docker servers. I got like 3 or 4 of the things, and I couldn't tell you if they've crashed or if they're still running. This little guy right here would be really awesome and letting me know about it. All right, guys, well, that pretty much sums up this video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. If so, please consider giving me a thumbs up. Maybe pop in that little subscribe button wherever it is. Find it. And I'll see you next time. You guys take it easy. Bye.